Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting and enlightening episode of the Global Health Pharmacist Podcast. I know I was not able to come to your ears on Friday. I was actually MIA and I apologize for this. I'm so sorry for not showing up for you guys. It was actually due to some circumstances beyond my control. You see, sometimes you plan things so well and they still do not work out. That's life, you see. Left to me, I would have loved to actually discuss some very interesting things on that day, but it didn't happen. I am just glad that I'm here again in your ears, especially as today is World Hepatitis Day. Yes, the 20th day of the month of July every year is World Hepatitis Day. It is actually celebrated in honor of Dr. Baruch Blumberg, who discovered the hepatitis B virus in 1967 and subsequently developed the hepatitis B vaccine 2 years later. He went ahead to receive a Nobel Prize for this in 1976. Therefore, the World Hepatitis Day is set to be celebrated on his birthday every year, which is July 28th. The day is of course set aside to create awareness about the disease and bring you up to speed on all you need to know about the disease, especially newer developments concerning it. And I'm particularly excited about this year's theme, which is hepatitis. Let's break it down. It will break down everything you ought to know about the disease, because it has been discovered that hepatitis is greatly misunderstood by a lot of people. But then, I am here for you when it comes to that, to break it down to you so that you will understand. I remain your host and favorite global health pharmacist, Pharm G, a pharmacist on a global mission to unravel health mysteries, bridge knowledge gaps, and empower communities one episode at a time. Today, we are diving deep into this critical but misunderstood condition, hepatitis. What is it? Why should we care? And most importantly, what can we do about it? So, without further ado, let's break it down, literally. What is hepatitis? At its core, hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. It is a viral disease, that is, it is caused by the microorganism called virus. Okay? But it's not just one thing. There are multiple types of hepatitis. There is hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. Each one has its own source, symptoms, and stories. Some are caused by viruses, others by toxins, medications, or even alcohol. Some are fleeting, others linger for years. You see, just so that you can know the differences between these different types of hepatitis, let me give you a detailed breakdown. Hepatitis A is transmitted by the fecal oral route, that is, from contaminated food or water. It causes acute infection, which rarely becomes chronic, and it usually resolves on its own within a few months. It's generally mild, but can cause symptoms like jaundice and other mild symptoms. To prevent it, you can take the hepatitis A vaccine. For hepatitis B, it is transmitted by bodily fluids like blood, like semen, even from mother to child during birth, and by sharing needles. It can be acute or chronic, with chronic infections potentially leading to liver damage, cirrhosis, or cancer. The severity varies from mild to severe, and it includes chronic liver disease. Also, it can be prevented by vaccination. For hepatitis C, it is primarily transmitted through blood-to-blood contact, like sharing needles, and also can be transmitted from mother to child during birth. It has the highest likelihood to become chronic, even more than hepatitis B, and it can lead to long-term liver damage. It causes cirrhosis and liver cancer. There is no vaccine available for hepatitis C, but there are effective antiviral medications that are used to manage the disease. Hepatitis D, on the other hand, only occurs in individuals who are already infected with hepatitis B. It can be acute or chronic as well, and it often leads to more severe liver damage in those with chronic hepatitis B. It can cause rapid progression of liver disease, and the best preventative measure is vaccination against hepatitis B. And lastly, for hepatitis E, It is also transmitted by the fecal-oral route from contaminated water or undercooked food. The cause is usually acute and can be severe in pregnant women. It is generally mild but can cause severe illness in pregnant women. And there is no vaccine available right now for hepatitis E. That is the breakdown of these different types of hepatitis, okay? Globally, hepatitis kills over 1 million people every year. That is more than HIV, more than tuberculosis. And yet, it rarely makes the headlines. In Nigeria and much of sub-Saharan Africa, the burden is staggering. Hepatitis B and C are particularly rampant, and most people don't even know they have it. Remember that hepatitis B can be transmitted sexually through semen and also through bodily fluid, while hepatitis C is more chronic than B and is transmitted by similar routes. And hepatitis D always results from hepatitis B. This is a global health crisis hiding in plain sight. Did you know that hepatitis B can survive outside the body for at least 7 days, making it far more infectious than HIV? That's why prevention, especially in healthcare settings, is non-negotiable. Viral hepatitis spreads in many ways, from contaminated food to infected blood, shared needles, or even at birth, like I've listed for the various hepatitis types. There is also alcohol-induced hepatitis and drug-induced hepatitis, and those at risk mostly are the healthcare workers, IV drug users, that is those that use drugs that are passed into the body by intravenous injection, pregnant women due to their reduced immunity, of course, and you guessed it, babies born to infected mothers, since it can be transmitted from mother to child during childbirth. One moment, one needle, one mistake, and that's all it takes. And talking about medications causing hepatitis, you see, there are some medications that actually can affect the liver adversely when overused or used for a very long time. Many of them, like some pain relievers, like some medications used to treat tuberculosis. This can result in hepatitis, which is why we advise that you should not self-medicate and you should not abuse or misuse medications. Alright? So, what does hepatitis feel like? What are the symptoms people experience when they have this disease? Some people experience fatigue, yellowing of the eyes, which is called jaundice, dark urine, or abdominal pain. And in others, there are no symptoms at all. Silent carriers can walk around with chronic liver disease without even knowing, which is why you have to go for periodic checks and get vaccinated. You see, diagnosis requires lab tests like serologic testing, liver function test, and in some cases, imaging. And it goes without saying that early detection saves lives, because the liver is a major and vital organ in the body, and any disease that affects the liver affects the entire functioning of the body. Right? Now to treatment and management. Treatment actually varies by type. I've told you that hepatitis A and E are acute, okay? So their treatment is mostly supportive, resting, hydration, and monitoring, and with time the body's immune system takes over and clears the virus from the body. But for chronic hepatitis like B and C, that's where the big guns come in. This is where you need pharmacology tools, that is your medications, to come to the rescue. There are different antivirals that are used for this. For treatment of your disease, I would always advocate that you see your healthcare provider. They will give you the best medication that suits your condition, okay? And majority of these antiviral medications used to treat hepatitis B and C, they have cure rates above 95%. So while this hepatitis may be referred to as chronic, it can actually be cured if you're adherent to your medication. And that is where the pharmacist comes in. As pharmacists, our roles go beyond dispensing these medications to you. We help you with medication counseling and adherence support. We help you to spot drug interactions that can impact how well you take your medications and how they work. Of course, we enlighten you about the possible side effects and how to deal with them, and we educate you about this disease, what you ought to know. Okay, so that's just not treatment, it is triumph. It is working together with your healthcare providers to actually beat this disease. Okay, now you might ask, can herbal medicine cure hepatitis? That's a great question. The truth is, there is no scientific evidence that herbs alone can cure viral hepatitis. I've talked about herbs on this podcast. We are not against herbs, okay? But then, while some may help with the symptoms, many can be harmful, especially to the liver, which is where majority of the medications we take in are processed through a process called metabolism. So, before you opt for any herbal medication, always consult a licensed healthcare professional, and it is advised that you should not mix herbal treatment with your orthodox treatment. Now, looking at prevention strategies, prevention is powerful. It is better than cure, and in some cases, prevention is actually the cure. There are vaccines for hepatitis A and B, which are safe, effective, and widely available. For hepatitis C, it is best to avoid exposure routes. Practice safe injection, do regular screening, get access to authentic and genuine information. I know that there are many theories about vaccination, but I tell you that they work. Okay, get vaccinated. That's the best way to protect yourself against this hepatitis, apart from avoiding exposure, to needles, safe injection practices, and all of that. Yeah. So that is how your body can be empowered against hepatitis. Of course, there will be myths about this hepatitis. Many information go around, and sometimes we do not know what to believe. Some people would say hepatitis only affects drug users, those that use injectables, that inject. This is not true. I've told you various ways by which hepatitis can infect people. Even innocent babies can get it if care is not taken. They are the ones that pass through contaminated food and water, and even undercooked food. So drug abusers or users are not the only ones that can get hepatitis, okay? Also, about vaccines causing infertility, that's discussion for another day. On this podcast, I've talked about importance of vaccination. I actually have 2 episodes on that, so you can refer to that to see the advantage of taking vaccines against diseases, okay? That vaccines cause infertility. Those are conspiracy theories, okay, that may not be rooted in fact. Get your facts right, all right? Listen to those episodes and let me know what you think in the comments. Now, another myth is herbal cures are safer than pharmaceuticals. I talked about herbal medicines as well on another episode. Please listen to that. Pharmacists are not against herbs, I've told you. Only that we have to know the content of something before we give to you and before we can vouch for its safety and efficacy. And that cannot be said for all the herbs and decoctions and concoctions that people take out there, okay? So, herbal cures are not always safer than pharmaceuticals, except they have been tested and trusted and proven by research. I tell you, I'm a researcher, and if it hasn't been proven by research, I cannot vouch for it. So, what is the real cure? Information, which is what I'm passing to you today, and I hope that you're gracious enough to share with as many people as possible so that this goes round and the misinformation is reduced, okay? Talking about recent advances and newer approaches in treating hepatitis, I will always highlight those here. Well, scientists are still working tirelessly to develop better antiretrovirals as well as newer immunotherapies, most of which are still in clinical trials with many giving positive results. Just recently, in fact, there was a certain drug which is being used to treat cancer originally that has been found to be very effective against hepatitis B. That was in February this year. That research was actually published, but like I said, they are still investigational at this stage, so I wouldn't bother you with their names. That is the names of the drugs, okay? But best believe that once they are approved by the regulatory bodies, you will hear it from me, because I'm all about drug discoveries and translational research. That is what has helped the world, even up to today, in treating both acute and chronic diseases. So I'm here for it, guys, and you'll be hearing about them from me. So stay tuned as I'll bring them to you in due time. Alright? Now, to summarize all that I've talked about, hepatitis is more common and more dangerous than most people realize. Prevention and early detection are key to fighting this disease, okay? And your pharmacists play a pivotal role in treatment, education, and public health. That is why I'm here for you and my other colleagues across the world, globally. You could walk into any community pharmacy, ask questions about your medication. It's making me feel this kind of way. I don't feel well when I take this. They know what to do, okay? If you have questions about hepatitis that you're afraid to ask anybody, ask your pharmacist, ask your doctor. We are always here for you. I've done my own part, okay, as your global health pharmacist. So what can you do as a person? Get tested, get vaccinated, share this episode, and spark a conversation. Discuss it with your people, with your friends, with your family, okay? Yes. Thank you once again for listening up to this point. I know that I've shared value and I hope that you caught it, right? Do not forget to like, to share, to comment on this episode. I would really love to hear what you have to say about this. Did you know this information about hepatitis? Do you have any story about hepatitis you want to share? Do you have any challenge with your medication? You can ask me via mail at globalhealthpharmacistpodcast@gmail.com, and if you're open to it, ask away in the comments or in the DMs on socials, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and even on X. I'll be there to answer your questions. And calls for collaborations as well. You know I'm always here for you guys. Thank you once again for listening up to this point. Till next time, stay healthy and God bless you. Bye!